along the same vein, speaking of that Star Trek type show, I want more Star Trek, and I want it to be like, I know like original Star Trek just got rebooted. We've got a new Kirk, we've got a new Spock.
Right.
You know, big high budget lens flaring.
So you don't want a new
movies.
Picard?
No,
or
I don't.
Do
I don't want a new Picard.
Because that is going to start a fight.
I don't want a new Next Generation. Like, essentially, I want another Star Trek show. And I know we had Enterprise, and it didn't really take off. Although
Voyager.
I think everything with Scott Bakula should certainly be successful. I want another crack at it. I want somebody else to be making Star Trek because I think there's a generation.
Somebody else? So someone in no way associated with the Roddenberry camp?
No, they could be associated with the Roddenberry camp. Obviously, Gene Roddenberry can't do it.
Well, yeah.
But, I mean, someone who will take the time and do it in a way that honors that franchise and not changes that franchise.
Okay.
I think there are more stories to tell in that universe, obviously.
Oh, there definitely are.
And I think that this next generation that's coming up shouldn't just see these two movies and think,
I see what you did there.
Yeah, thanks. Shouldn't just see these two movies and think this is what Star Trek is, oh, and then a bunch of this old stuff that's too old to matter anymore. I think this legacy needs to continue. That's what I want the most.
Not exactly in the rules of this,
Well,
but I will accept it. I said I would accept it!
Oh.
You get those later.
Get
those later. Because I think you have a good point.
Thank you. That's the first time that's ever been said here.
Yeah, after you made a huge mess. I think they should remake Van Helsing. I think it could lead, the story is rich enough that it could lead to a really epic action horror movie, but it just, the way it was executed was kind of, I think, like laughable, campy even.
That's one that, like, the story is something that's, you know, as somebody who's really into steampunk and all of that, it's very dear to my heart. But yeah, it was executed in just a way that was like a little bit too
it seemed
cheesy.
Rushed, cheesy.
And yeah, I think it could be done a lot better. I think one of the things that I think makes this list that we're doing interesting is that we're looking at things that are fundamentally a very sound concept that were then had issues in its execution, or the effects are dated or something like that. So I think there's nothing wrong with the idea of Van Helsing being a monster hunter that goes around, you know, taking care of different monsters with gadgets and all that sort of stuff. I think that is great.
It could be awesome.
But it could be done a lot better.
Yes, yes, agreed. Another one I think should be redone, and I think you're going to agree with me, is The Haunted Mansion starring Eddie Murphy. And if you know about the story of the ride at Disneyland, it goes very differently than what they portrayed. And it could be, you could tell the story of how the mansion got haunted, who are those people in there. You know, we have Master Gracie, Madame Leota, Little Leota, who wasn't always little, you know, like a doll.
It's just so bizarre to me that we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
That, like, the great source material that we really want to tap
It's a ride.
is a ride at a theme park.
It's
And
very
yes,
well
it
done,
worked
though.
So good with Pirates of the Caribbean, at least the first one.
Yeah,
the first movie is
one was
fantastic.
good. The first movie is good. We can agree on that.
But the fact that we're out of books and comic books
I'm not
and
saying
stories
that
we
should be
need
made in
theme
lieu
park
of
rides.
anything else. I'm just saying that story could be told very well, and it wasn't told well.
I just remember the conversation before the first Pirates of the Caribbean. They're like, they're making a movie out of a ride? What?
And everybody was surprised when it was really good.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that makes the Pirates of the Caribbean, the first movie, work is that it actually has nothing to do with the ride. It's not attempting to have anything to do with the ride.
It has a little bit to do. There are some callbacks.
So there are some sort of like cameo Easter egg moments, I would say. But I think one of the things that makes it work is that it was just an excuse to make a high-budget pirate movie with some really cool characters and great locations.
Maybe I want to see a high-budget mansion movie about ghosts.
Well, so that's what I'm saying, is that I think a Haunted Mansion movie, like, disregard most of that other mythology that's been set up. You know, use those little tidbits as Easter eggs, but overall, I want it to be actually like a spooky haunted house movie.
Yeah.
I think we want that movie to be better because it takes so many good elements. You've got the Haunted Mansion ride, which is ostensibly a good story. You've got Eddie Murphy, who was so good so long ago.
Oh, it's true, because...
And, like, you're taking good things and putting them together, and it's just a pile of shit, and you're like, guys, we can do better than this. But, I don't know.
We can do better.
Would you give Eddie Murphy another shot?
No.
No, okay.
Another movie I have that I want to be remade, not the whole series, just this one movie, is the original Terminator. I think when people say they like Terminator, they mean they like Terminator 2. But I watched Terminator again recently, and the effects made it so there's no way I could be scared of the Terminators at all. It was like, it's like they got a skeleton mannequin and colored it, and it just like... I feel like that's one of the cases where the special effects, if they were redone, it would be pretty incredible.
I don't think Terminator would seem as dated if Terminator 2 wasn't such a visually stunning, ahead of its time masterpiece type.
It was a masterpiece.
Yeah, exactly.
Terminator 2 is fantastic.
So you want the whole series to hold up to that standard, and it just doesn't. And like, how would you approach a Terminator remake? Would you get Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I don't know if that's
the thing
possible.
Is that I don't think that. I think part of the reason why Terminator still holds up is because of Arnold and because of James Cameron. I think that it would be a mistake.
What if we just redid
if you were
the
doing a
special
different
effects?
story with a different Terminator, fine, whatever. Like, you know, I actually really liked the Sarah Connor Chronicles TV show, and that was something where Arnold wasn't involved with that at all, and they made it work really well because it was a different original story within that universe.
And it's a very rich universe. There's plenty of stories to tell. So I don't know that you need to make an attempt to tell that one again when you've got such a broad, palette to use.
I would want to see it told again. But that's just my opinion. All right, I've exhausted my list.
Your opinion's just wrong. That's fine.
Yeah, you can leave. No.
I was gonna bring up The Black Hole, which is another 1970s sci-fi movie, but I feel like we've talked about 1970s sci-fi movies. So I'm gonna bring up something that I'm not even sure about, but that's the Sinbad series, as in Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Golden Voyage of Sinbad. Which, let me just tell you, I am a huge Ray Harryhausen fanatic. I grew up watching those movies over and over and over again, and so I have an appreciation for them where I don't mind looking at the slightly dated special effects and all of that. But I do think that's a really interesting franchise. It's been around for centuries because it comes from old Persian mythology. And so that's one of those things where I feel like maybe not necessarily like a one-to-one remake of Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, but I feel like that's a franchise where there's plenty of opportunity to tell some really awesome, fantastical, swashbuckling sort of stories. And if you could honor the tradition of the old Harryhausen movies, not like what's it called?
I don't know what you're searching for.
Clash of the Titans.
I'm
yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
Not
Sorry.
like Clash
Jason
of the Titans.
the Argonauts. Yeah, okay, I got you.
Not like Clash of the Titans, which I think totally misinterpreted the spirit of it.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think there's maybe a little bit of room there to do a cool Sinbad movie.
Maybe.
Now, so this is sort of like the example that I was going for with Star Trek, is that, yes, these movies are great, this source material is fantastic, it doesn't need to be remade, but people should be seeing it still. And sometimes a reboot and a remake is the best way just to get new people into it.
And I think that was kind of the intention behind Peter Jackson's remake of King Kong, which unfortunately is not a great movie. It came from a very loving place in his heart, and
Yeah,
he had
he
the
didn't
best of
succeed at
intentions.
what he wanted to do.
Right, and so that's why I'm saying that if you were to do a Sinbad remake, it would not be a one-to-one remake of any of those movies, but come up with something new, but use that character and that world.
'Twas beauty killed the beast. Which is wrong, it was greed. It was greed killed the beast.
I thought it was Planes.
No, it wasn't the planes, it was beauty.
I really think
That's the line.
I've seen that movie, and I think it was the Planes that did it. Naomi Watts had very little
Or
to do
falling
with...
off of the building.
Yeah, that was that too. That was that too.
That is our list of movies that definitely should be remade for various reasons. You probably do disagree with a lot of them, but what movies do you think should be remade for sure? Please leave a message below, and don't forget to subscribe.